Hello, folks, and excuse me. Sorry about that. Hello and welcome to Monday, 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, December 29th, Techthusiasm Live podcast, the podcast in between Christmas and New Year's. I called this our New Year's podcast. When next we meet, next week, we will be formally into 2026. Of course, New Year's Eve coming up in a couple days. I hope everybody has having great holidays, whatever variation of that you may choose to celebrate and enjoy. For us, it's we're ending Christmas week here. We had a really nice Christmas with the family. Um, some did some cool stuff as well. We've been having some fun. Basically, Christmas vacation is afoot in the household here. A little bit of a break from some of the schoolwork and stuff for the kids. I am off from the day job until the new year. I'll go back to work on January 5th, quick in and out, and then we've got some other plans afoot actually in January. We have some other plans afoot, in fact, this week. So we're going to really really making the most of this Christmas vacation for sure. But it's been a fun week. We had a really nice holiday. We kind of historically kind of split the Christmas holiday between the families. We spend Christmas Eve usually with my family, my side of the family, and then Christmas Day with my wife's side. So we kind of stuck to that tradition, hung out with a lot of our cherished family members, aunts and uncles, cousins, siblings in law. In my case, we're blessed that we have all four. My wife and I, we have all of our parents here alive, facing certain health concerns, of course, but they're here and engaging, and so happy and grateful and stuff for that. We had a fun Christmas with the kids. Santa came, brought some stuff with him as well. It was a very musical holiday in our household. A very so pushing on the audio side of things. This time, actually making music. So my son, he's been kind of hankering. He's been asking about wanting to do some music lessons, particularly drums. So we have a full size adult drum kit sitting actually in the walkway of our kitchen dining room area right now until that thing gets relegated to wherever it's going to go, whether it goes to his bedroom or we make some space in the basement or something. I don't know, but pretty sizable footprint for a full size drum kit. And my daughter, she had been interested in wanting to do an electric guitar. So we encouraged that and indulged that as well. So we have basically starting the Techthusiasm band, I guess. Neither my wife or I really play any instruments, but I'm kind of looking at some of the stuff now that these are kind of sitting here in the household. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll end up grabbing that electric guitar and kind of fooling around, strumming a little bit. I don't know, find some YouTube lessons or something and play around with that. I think I'd be more interested to tinker with that than the drum kit, but in any case, we'll see. Got what else do we get? We got some health and tech gifts. I bought one of the gifts that I picked up kind of for myself and kind of for the family as well. Bought one of those like vibration plate things that you stand on, shakes you in like 4 dimensions, and supposed to be good for lots of different health aspects and bone density and lymphatic drainage, whatever, muscle recovery, joint health, lower back pain, which is something that I could use some strengthening within. So still training strong here at the end of the year, and was looking for a couple of little minor health accessories. My wife also wanted this thing, the name of what they call it's going to escape me now. It's basically like this little curved board with these straps, and you kind of stand on the straps. They're like little mini tight ropes, and you can kind of squat and lunge and balance and stuff like that. So we picked up one of those as part of her gifts. A lot of ski related equipment coming into the household. We spent a lot on ski equipment preparing. We'll be spending New Year's Eve on the ski slopes of Michigan, actually. So that's kind of in our plan here for the coming week, and I guess you could say a bit of extension of the family Christmas gifts and whatnot. So we'll be getting out for the first time this year, skiing. My wife needed some stuff, new jacket and pants and so on. My daughter needed some stuff. I got some new base layers and other things. So hopefully now we're completely geared up for the skiing. Expensive hobby, man. by far an expensive hobby, both in terms of equipment and the cost to actually get out and do it regularly. But we'll be having some fun and one of the Michigan hills for the next few days, starting tomorrow, and then through New Year's Eve, back for the weekend, and then actually the kids' activities and some of the other stuff picks up again this weekend. So sound off in the comments. Did you get or did you give anything really cool for Christmas this year? I'm curious. Any audio, video, electronics, home theater gifts and stuff like that. We did end up having come in as well. It wasn't necessarily a Christmas gift, but just recently we also got a couple of the other new pieces for our tonal. Love the tonal. I've been singing the praises of that thing for the year and a half now since we got it. But we got the Pilates straps and the ankle straps as well, which is pretty cool. So I've been able to actually supplement some of my workouts with both of those and hitting some muscle groups and specific muscles in some different ways that I hadn't been training before. And I was limping for a couple days last week after a particularly heavy ankle strap with a lot of like kickbacks and side kickbacks and stuff like that. So that was really good. So do that and then shake all those muscles out on the um, shake all those muscles out on the vibration plate. So but we've been having fun. We've been watching some movies. We've marathoned some movies actually. I think Friday, what's today? Today is Monday. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. We basically did a movie each night. We've been basically doing some stuff during the day, kind of hanging out, whatever, um, some out of the house activities and that as well. And then we kind of made it back to do a movie. We're cranking our way through Star Wars. So we are now at Rise of Skywalker. So Friday night we did Revenge of the Sith. Saturday night we did Force Awakens. Sunday night, last night we did The Last Jedi, and we're ready to finish it off. I'm hoping we probably won't get to Rise of Skywalker tonight. It's already 5 o'clock. By the time we're done here, it'll be a little after 6, and we've got work to do to kind of prep pack and prepare for the ski trip. So I think we'll be working on that probably into the evening tonight, even though we're not necessarily in any hurry. When it'll be time to go and stuff, it'll still be. I think it'll still be the entirety of our evening, kind of prepping for the ski activity coming up this evening. But there's a chance. We'll see how it goes. I really would love to finish the sequel trilogy, though. We'll talk a little bit more about that um, coming up as well. Some of my opinions. My first time watching the sequel trilogy at home. But we've been, again, getting some workout time in the theater here. My son and I, we've been playing some games as well. We completely started and finished Marvel, the new Cosmic. I always get the name. I keep wanting to say Cosmic Alliance, but it's Cosmic Invasion. So we actually fully beat. Not a very long game. It only took about, I think they quote about 3 hours to kind of play through the story mode. There's a little bit of progression. You can level up the characters and stuff, but we completely beat that. We played it a bunch really on Saturday. And then, yeah, just some great family time and reading comics and hanging out. We went yesterday as well. There's actually in Brighton, if you're in the area, greater Detroit area, over in Brighton, is a place called, I think it's just called The Arcade. And they claim they have 150 machines. So this was part of the Christmas gift that my wife and kids got for me. Was basically like, well, I didn't know this place even existed, so say they'll take you there. Let's take you there and we'll hang out and play. But it's basically like it's an arcade, 150 machines, a whole bunch of pinball machines, racing, shooting, a lot of classic stand-up arcade cabinet games and stuff as well. And you go in, they're only open 3 days a week, I think, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Fridays and Saturdays, it's $20 a person. Sundays, it's $15. We went on the Sunday. Okay, why not say $20? And it's all you can play. So the machines, there's no tokens, there's no um, like finite play or anything. You come in, everything is set to free play. To enter the building, you pay the access fee. You get a little marker, whatever, on your hand or a wristband or whatever, and you're free to go. Every game, every machine in the place is from that point forward free to access. So it's a really cool idea, a really cool business model. And it'd be cool if there were more types of these places around, especially that had a good mix of like newer stuff and classic stuff. They had like massive row of pinball machines. Probably had to be like 40 pinball machines, all kinds of different licenses and stuff like that. So we played some Street Fighter 2. I think it was a championship edition. We played the original Ninja Turtles. They had a four-player cabinet for that. So and because it's basically free play, right? You can get a new start, essentially drop in a new token, right? Just press the button and play as many times as you want. So we button mashed our way through the Turtles game. They had an alien shooting game. I forget what it was called, but you kind of had like a rifle. and you pop the bottom of the clip to reload. There's a button on the side to kind of throw grenades and that. There's only like 4 chapters, but we played the entirety of that, just kind of switching off. They had the Star Wars pod game. There were some problems with that actually. When the first time that I sat down in it, something had crashed and the whole thing was restarting. It's basically a Windows computer. We watched the whole like Windows shell and stuff kind of come up and reset. And then it got back in. But I tried to play that a little bit and I found the controls were like not very responsive. Like you feel like you're flying, but you're really not. Your ship's kind of already on rails. And so it's like you're not really actually interacting and doing a whole lot with this. And then you're kind of in this bubble and it's a projection set up around like a not exactly a 360-degree field of view, but probably about 180-degree bubble that you're looking in, like basically half of the sphere, and it's real close to you. So like the motion sensitivity for me of like trying to fly and things kind of zooming around didn't really work. So I was hoping to actually play that and really enjoy it, and I ended up kind of bailing on that game. They had some other shooter, some like side scroller shooter that we played. My wife and I, we beat at least one of the level sections and stuff on that. Star Wars Pod Racer and so on. So we probably spent like 2 or 3 hours there. Had a good time, maybe about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. We had a good time with it though, so I appreciate that. That was fun. Only downsides was it was very loud. Man, they had the volume of these machines tuned so loud, and it's like it's one thing. It made me actually wonder. Like I took out my phone and I ran my little Decibel app. Decibel X is an app. I think I'm freezing up a little bit here. Let's see. Just give it 1 second. Okay, we're back. So Decibel X is an app that I recommend, iOS app. There's probably, I don't know if there's an Android version or not as well. And it obviously uses the phone's microphone and measures noise level and stuff. So I pull that out usually when I'm in home theater demos because I like to see how loud they are. And prior to the last showcase event that we had here, big camera adjustment. Prior to the last showcase event that we had here, I was using it to kind of, okay, where do I want to set the volume level on the Anthem? What kind of volume level do we want to try to achieve for the demos and stuff that we were running? And I think we were running them like 90-ish dB, give or take. And I pulled my phone out in the arcade place, and it was reading about that same volume level. It's like, wow, this place sounds so much louder. And I don't know if it then and harder to listen to than the theater does at the same decibel level. And I don't know if that's because this room is kind of tuned and it's treated and it's kind of set up to be able to manage sound at that volume level. And that place is just all kinds of hard surfaces and all of the plinking and dinging and all that stuff is like super high frequency noise. But after a couple hours, like I was ready to go. My head was hurting. My eardrums felt like they were ruptured out. And it was tough. It was tough. So as much fun as we were having in different pockets of the building were louder than others, it felt like as well. So I just tested it um, in one of the spots. But so it was a really cool idea, but it definitely had some limitations. They need to turn down the volume on all of those machines a good 10 dB or something at least, because if they're all set so loud and then so many machines packed in such a tight area, just constantly ringing and blinging and everything, um, was a little too much for me. They had a lot of stuff crammed in as well into the space. They could have done, I think, with a couple of less machines to open it up a little bit. And man, the weather was bad. It was dreary, rainy, and whatnot. So we pulled in the parking lot, and it's like, oh my god, this place is packed, and it's so tight inside there. Like we're all leaving here like with the flu. There's no way that we're not leaving this place sick. It was hot in there, hot and loud, and so many people in very very tight, cramped quarters. But we still had fun with it. So we played a few games. I was hoping to have found like I really would have liked to have found like the Avengers, um, and like the Marvel old side scroller beat 'em up 4-player games, X-Men, whatever. Is it Children of the Atom? There's an Avengers game. In their Facebook profile page, there's another older Marvel game that was like Nick Fury and the Punisher that they actually had, but they didn't in the pictures, but I think it was an older picture. They didn't have that cabinet. But still, cool experience. Maybe better for a private event when you can go and there's not so many people and stuff there. But man, on that Sunday, that place was making bank, and I don't even know if they have a limit. They were turning people away at the door or whatnot. But like we walked in, and I think every machine had people on it, and it was shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow. So we put in our time, played some games, and then came home, got some dinner, and and found our way over into The Last Jedi. So yeah, so we'll talk a little bit more about Star Wars coming up. I haven't really made any changes to anything to note, just kind of continuing to still feel out the TV upstairs. Of course, again, we played the Marvel Cosmic Invasion game entirely on the TCL QM9K. And I have to say, like, I have no faults for that TV for gaming. Stick on the gaming topic here for a minute. The game looked great, good color, good pop. Frame rate and everything held. It's a 2D side scroller, not exactly the most challengingly or graphical intense gaming experience, but I still want to get some content made. I did queue up some content today actually. So I was off work on the day job today, but I really spent most of the day working on Techthusiasm. I finished up the video for the Kaleidoscape 48 terabyte Terra installation. And that's actually published. I think it's scheduled. That one's scheduled for tomorrow. It'll come out, but I already published it to members, so just a day ahead. I filmed a little quick video for what I hope will be a useful Apple TV tip. Essentially, how to disable the new profile selection menu that's forced since tvOS 26 came along. There's an option available now to be able to bypass that and basically set a default profile and just have the Apple TV boot right up to the menu or wake up right to the menu. So I think I scheduled that video for Thursday and published it for members as well. I got a little short that'll go with that one also, and then I'll still plan tomorrow to do the This Week in Kaleidoscape. I'd like to see those videos get a little more engagement than they're getting actually, but I'm having fun making them and spending a little bit of time like talking about movies in there. I think what I really, really still need to do is get to the point where I'm buying and watching a new movie, a new release movie every week, and then doing a bit of a Kaleidoscape-based movie review rather than just kind of the store summary. I hope those videos aren't coming off as kind of too samey, but every week there's new releases and there's new stuff on sale, like something or another changes in the store. So I'm having fun making them, but I would really love to see a little bit more viewership and engagement and stuff out of them. So we'll see how that continues or how it kind of evolves as we get into the new year. So, but I do have content queued up for this week, and then hoping to make some more around the TV and a couple of other things once we get back and in the weekend, and then we get into the first full working week of the new year. So looking forward to a big 2026. Maybe next week we'll talk a little bit more about like 2026 goals and a little bit more of like if there's anything to kind of fully reflect on from 2025. But man, this was a heck of a year in a lot of ways for me, our household, business, and all of that stuff. And I think 2026 is going to be ripe with cool stuff, happenings, and opportunities. And I just want to enjoy the journey and all of the bits and pieces and steps and stuff along the way. So let's roll through some comments, say hello to some folks. Julius, always number one. Welcome, my friend. Julius, he used to play organ piano in church in his younger days. It would be fun. I think playing like a jazz piano would be a heck of a good time, or like some kind of a more what's the word I'm looking for? Like a more active piano would be really, really fun to learn as well. But you have to have one. So drums and guitars, what we have right for now. Stephen McCauley, welcome. Hello, welcome. Oh, Stephen, I got a Trent off at the beginning of the year. Awesome. Consider that an early Christmas gift. Yeah, that's definitely a nice one. I'm still working my own way towards Trent. So actually, in fact, if anybody out there is considering it or wants to talk about it, do feel free to get in touch with me. But there's some more steps that I'm planning, some machinations behind the scenes, some discussions that I'm trying to get like finalized and so on. But I was hoping that would have been an end of 2025 endeavor, discussion, announcement, and some happenings, but it's fine. It'll be more of a 2026 endeavor as it is. Stephen McCauley saying, my kids are 3 and 7, right? Trying to start Star Wars with them a little bit. Yeah, mostly in the Young Jedi cartoon phase. Yeah, 3 and 7. So my wife and I, we're pretty conservative about the content that we let our kids watch. And I would say even actually in some ways, no, my son's almost 13. So he's good, but you still get into a lot of cool movies, and it's like, man, we really want to watch this movie. My daughter's older, so she's fine to handle a lot more stuff than he is, but I don't want to let her get too old before we actually watch these movies, and then we can't just leave like him out. We want to do this stuff as a family. So we've waited on a lot of content until he was a little bit older as the younger one of the two, but even still we're pushing a little bit on the edge of what we would maybe feel completely comfortable with in terms of what we have let him watch just by by virtue of being the younger kid. You cut some slack, I guess, just so some things can happen and things can get done. But he's all in Star Wars now. We're having a lot of fun with it. He got some Star Wars Legos for Christmas. He wants to buy the Death Star, um, the Lego Death Star kit, which is pretty insane. So we'll see. I want to get into some of the comic books and expanded universe and stuff with him as well. Sig Judge, welcome. Wishing success for the year ahead. Thank you. Thank you. Christmas gifts this year included the latest Roger Deakins and Walter Murch books. Not familiar with those authors. Some cast and crew gifts from friends. Ooh, nice. That worked on the F1, the movie. Cool. That's nice. Yeah, I'm still working on this. So um, the movie memorabilia stuff is well on its way. My son and I, we've been working on. We'll dedicate a whole podcast to this, and some content and videos and stuff coming up in 2026 as well. But suffice to say that we've been working on our memorabilia plan, our collection plan. We've already accumulated probably over a dozen figures that we're planning to have for the display. I've been working on display case, like what display cases are we going to do? How are we going to kind of rejigger the office and kind of get stuff in there? And in terms of being able to offer this stuff to everybody at a new dimension to the um, to basically to what's happening with Techthusiasm. I'm right on the cusp of finalizing a like reseller agreement with Sideshow Collectibles. So I've gotten the verbal approval, and I need some final paperwork, and I need to get some final access to like my dealer account and stuff like that, and then do a little bit of planning for exactly how we want. So sneak peek into some stuff that's coming in the podcast today. How I got to figure out how exactly do I want to kind of go about bringing a movie memorabilia aspect to the channel and the offerings and so on, to the webpage and stuff like that. So I gotta strategize and think about that. But we will be able to offer like hot toys, 6 scale figures, statues, like quarter scale, third scale statues of everybody's favorite characters and licenses and all that stuff. Through Sideshow, they have access to a whole bunch of different types of collectibles, posters and other things as well. So quick FYI out there, if anybody's already into that stuff, collecting that stuff, and you would like to support me with that engagement and so on, those purchases, I will be set up very, very soon here, eminently, hopefully this week, to have access to my account, be able to make orders and pre-orders and stuff like that. So more on a lot of that to come. But I'm very, very excited about that. I've always been into toys, toy collectors, toy collecting and stuff like that, and doing it with my son and adding it to the business and all is going to be really cool. Sig Judge, as for Kscape, I'm still trying to decide what films I buy on it compared to iTunes. There's something about having the Apple purchases everywhere you go. Oh yeah, for sure. Watching mostly special features this holidays. Yeah, Clydescape does have special features, but like you said, you don't have as much quite a portability, obviously, as you do with the Apple purchases. Let's see. Yeah, Steven, that's the reason I haven't bought one in the first place. My wife still wants to use the Apple TV early access. Yeah, pricey convenience. Well, I mean, you could still, if you're buying a Blu-ray copy anyway, you want the high fidelity copy, you could get that from Kaleidoscape as well. Steven, oh man, had the flu go through the family. So I've been hearing a lot about, knock on wood, I'll find some wood here. I've been hearing a lot about like people getting knocked down with some pretty rough viruses in that here. So far, we've been good. A lot of times over Thanksgiving, and particularly going into Christmas in years past, we've had some stuff rock our household as well. And the beginning of this year, beginning of 2025, I feel like the first like 4 months of the year, it was just a cycle of gunk. coming through and slightly changing and going back all the way through the household again, we've been good for a long time. So I was real sensitive, or have been real sensitive about, like, we got big plans. We wanted to do the ski stuff. We've got another January vacation plan coming up. Don't want any illnesses taking out all these things that we've committed to, we've spent the money on, and stuff like that. So, man, definitely hope everybody's feeling better. Um, and knock on wood that we've had a delightfully healthy holiday season. So, Terminator asking to use A weight or C weight when you're measuring in that scenario. I don't have my phone with me to double check what it's set to. I'm pretty sure it's C though, right? C is the slower moving. I'm pretty sure that Decibel X lets you approximate different weighting as well in its meter. Julius, do you still feel the TCL has a softer picture compared? This is compared to the LG G2, and I feel like in some ways, yes. So ultimately, I think what I'm concluding, at least so far, is that the better quality material, the better the TV looks. The lower quality material, it it doesn't do lower quality material any favors. And I feel like maybe the OLEDs or the LG um, masked the masked some of the poor fidelity of lower quality material, and maybe the TCL doesn't do that quite in the same way or quite as well. But, like, sticking to stuff like Kaleidoscape and then the gaming PC, or even the Switch for that matter, excuse me, I feel like the games look really good on it. But again, they're being rendered and high fidelity, high bit rate, no, like, right, no compression, and whatnot. So, yeah, I need to get some more video time. I wanna watch some more series content up there. We haven't really watched any series content lately. There's some cartoons that we wanna finish, and then we'll see after we finish the Star Wars movies, actually, whether as a family we start watching some of the Star Wars live action series together. My son and I will probably watch Clone Wars. I don't know that the whole family will watch Clone Wars, and he'll probably wanna watch Rebels. I did already watch all the 4 seasons of Rebels. I've never really watched Clone Wars, though, so I'm eager to watch that. And then as a family, I think we'll probably do, like, Mandalorian, um, Ahsoka, try to get in Obi-Wan, try to get caught up on some of those. Some of those I've watched, some of them I haven't, some of them I didn't fully stick with. But given that The Mandalorian and Grogu is the only Star Wars movie coming in 2026, um, and I probably won't go to the theater for that. I kinda made the mistake in 2025 of jumping the gun a little too fast going to the theater for, like, Thunderbolts and Superman even, and even Fantastic Four. They all came to Kaleidoscape so quick that, and a couple, in the majority of the cases versus not, I didn't really enjoy the theatrical experience that much, because of people and just stuff going on in the theater. So I may be inclined to wait, but I think we will wanna watch those as a family and make watching the new Star Wars films together something kinda like we already do with the Marvel movies and whatnot. Strand, welcome. Hello, hello. Lawless, hello, my friend. Do you think we see a lot of new products in 2026? Hmm. I don't, really. I don't think so, to be honest. Um, I mean, if we think about a couple of the major categories of stuff that's going around, I don't think this is a projector year at all, right? We're still in we're not quite even mid life cycle, or maybe this is year 2. Um, this fall will be 2 years removed from the release of, like, JVC, the NZs, Epson, the QB models are only whatever a year old. The latest Sony models and stuff are not that old, and a lot of that stuff ends up on, like, 3 or 4-year cycles. So I don't feel, just gut reaction again, I'm not saying this based on any inside knowledge. As a dealer reseller, I'm not divulging anything. This is entirely just my opinion. But I feel like we've got some time on projectors. I mean, TVs will all get refreshed. I think for in terms of new products, this will probably be one of the more interesting TV years in the last couple of years. If, like, newer, I think there'll be some newer technologies coming in the TV space, right? The mini RGB and things like that. We'll kind of see where OLED goes. And then sizes and whatnot. I feel like the last couple of years of televisions have been real basic evolutions, and there's kind of the ability or the likelihood of some like newer things kind of coming this year. So that would be an interesting one to watch. It's not going to be a gaming console year, I don't think. Like the PlayStation 6, and whatever the next Xbox is, I think, if I recall correctly, like those are kind of slated more towards 2027. We already have the latest Nintendo Switch 2, so I mean, we're not going to see another Nintendo console for probably 5 years or so based on their track record. Um, Kaleidoscape, I don't know, that's a dark horse because I mean, they put out more new product in 2025 than I would have possibly predicted. So, but it feels like the lineup is pretty stable right now as it is. If anything, my gut would tell me that maybe they kind of further condense the line a little bit rather than expand it. Of course, there's always the option or the likelihood, possibility that, some of the Terra sizes and stuff may shift or change. I wouldn't really consider that to necessarily be new products. That's kind of just natural um, changeover, parts availability, cost of good response, and stuff like that. And I don't think anybody else is coming out with something that's going to challenge them. I mean, physical media, not gonna be a new product year, I think. It'll probably be a further consolidation year, diminishment year. Maybe we'll finally see a new Apple TV, but, I've been not, or I wouldn't say lukewarm, but I've been realistic about whatever the new Apple TV is gonna be. I don't think is going to be anything crazy revolutionary or necessarily change the game at all. It's gonna be spec bump, new processor, some more memory, better graphics performance, etcetera. Unless they do something out of left field and we see like an Apple TV Pro, gaming machine, Apple TV Focus kind of thing. But I don't know. I don't want to get. I'll never get excited about that until we actually see it um, truly announced. Otherwise, Apple TV will probably just remain iteratively improving along the way. I think like some manufacturers will continue to refresh lines here and there. I think if you look at like, well, companies like SVS or any company that offers a broad spectrum of different models at different price points is probably always refreshing something in a given year or not. So maybe we'll see some of the smaller, for SVS in particular, maybe we see some of the smaller units refreshed as the trickle down of the SB PB17 to the 5000 continues to roll downhill. Yeah, what else really is there? I think I saw it here. Srin mentioned Anthem. Anthem really needs to make hardware updates. I'm curious what you feel they need to update. Like, what would you want in an updated piece of Anthem hardware? Like, if the DACs are good, we don't need any new HDMI implementation. Um, yeah, I'm not sure what they would do. If anything, if anything, what Anthem needs to update is the STR line. So I really, really like to see a new STR, something that has all of the contemporary features of the AVM and MRX, the web UI, connectivity, and stuff like that. And then also put an HDMI port or three, ideally, or four on that thing. Give it HDMI eARC and let it switch a couple of sources. That would be amazing on an STR2. Um, have it match the fit and finish of the newer models with the flat front rather than the wavy front. So if that ends up coming along, I will personally be very interested in that. Um, so yeah, Anthem software visualization for channels. Yeah, I would agree with that. Would be really cool. So that's different from hardware. Like software releases can always continue. I think we'll see, hopefully we'll see a cool JVC firmware update in the fall again. Hopefully we will see Anthem software updates and features added. um, Same thing. I don't think like ManVR recently refreshed, so I think they'll be good for a little while. Hopefully, this is a year of cool software updates and stuff for ManVR. The new Lumigens are still due. I'm gonna forget what they call them. The new model line that's been a little bit delayed and whatnot. I think it was already supposed to be here, so that'll be cool if and when it comes. Always a good thing to have like options and a little bit of technical competition, marketplace competition. That's lively. Um, Lively and healthy. Not sure. I'm looking at my screen. Not sure what we might expect in terms of screen technologies or anything to change. Acoustic panels. So yeah. Be looking for a lot of software this year. Um, Apple's always a dark horse. See what happens with any Kaleidoscope consolidation, and hopefully a lot of software, and then the TVs. CES is imminent, um, so we'll know soon kind of what the TV forecast for 2026 looks like after we get some CES news on one of these Mondays as well. We can break it down, and talk about whatever's announced and the cool stuff kind of coming out of CES. I am not planning to travel, so I will not be there. I don't have any specific channel related travel plans early on. I don't expect to go back to the Florida Audio Show this year. I went to that this year. I really We'll see what happens later in the year. I think that M-Wave is coming back this year. Um, I was going to double check on that if there's any chance that might work out. That could be kind of cool. Audio Device Live again, I'm sure will happen. And then CES is really where, not CES, sorry, CEDIA is really where I need to get to. Paramount focus this year. Steven saying, I feel like we will see a lot of things similar like last year, but AI added to the title. Yeah, right. Expect to see that. That's going to be an increasing buzzword everywhere we go. AI, everything, AI audio processing um, and whatnot. I think the TV makers are the ones that are leaning the most into this. Besides MadVR, of course, who's been taking advantage of kind of AI related processing things the most. But we'll see where else the concept of AI goes in future releases and software updates and stuff like that. As Sig Judge, as fast as Trinoff goes, I've noticed a fair few Altitude 1632s hitting the used market than usual. I'm guessing people are upgrading or preparing to upgrade to the CIs. Yeah, it's likely we'll see some updates to processors beyond the CI in 26. Yeah, we'll see. I think that they have like a more of a audio model. I think like the Amethyst or whatnot. So I think um, there's room for like the CI modeling to kind of cover maybe more of like almost a two-channel device or something like that. That could be pretty cool. But I suspect, yeah, people that might have had existing models that are upgraders or want to be current, whatever, maybe preparing for the CI. If and when I make the transition myself here, I would only be looking towards the newer stuff as well, like a 16 channel, probably a 16 channel CI with the amplitude 16 amp and do the audio over IP and all the cool stuff that they're doing. Saran, did you end up installing those NV updates? No, I am behind on software updates. I still have yet to apply the JVC firmware update. Um, I need to I need to sit down and do that. It's just I'm so adverse to like wanting to climb into that closet behind me and deal with the tight pack limited access that I have to the projector, and I'm scared of like knocking something and then I got to realign everything in the lens. So I need to get that done though, and I really still need to get that projector on the UPS for better protection. I've already actually had occasion where I've been sitting down here with the projector on, and we had a bit of a power brownout, and it's like, oh man, really, it's a $30,000 projector. It needs to be properly protected, and I have the thing to protect it sitting in my storage room. Just something that I haven't got to yet. So that needs to be paramount focus. Maybe I'll finally get to that. Maybe I'll finally get to that. Not this week, but this coming weekend. That would be a good idea to do that. Let's see. Yeah, Stern saying we haven't seen any firmware updates for Anthem for a while. Yeah, also we did not get Rune support either. Yeah, I know some folks are bummed about the Rune stuff. I don't use that. That's not a big deal for me. And I guess if they're not fixing bugs, I feel like Anthem has been a quiet company for a little bit now. And I don't know. I could see it. These models have been out for a little while, but I struggle to consider what they would do with new revisions. I mean, one of the things I suppose competitively that they could do would be to make some of the lower models support more subwoofers, because that is one of the challenges that I think that they have against like even Denon, right? How much of the Denon lineup supports two or even four, let alone Marantz too, like Denon and Marantz supports two and or four discrete subwoofers. that that can be a limiting factor with some of the Anthem options, but yeah, in terms of, like, fully changing them over and stuff, I'm not sure. M-Wave is definitely back. Yeah, tickets on sale now. Yeah, I just noticed that the other day. I was catching up on I don't watch a lot of, like, home theater YouTube just because I'm already so engaged in stuff, around the hobby for the things that I'm doing, creating, people that I'm talking to, customers and whatnot, that when I end up watching YouTube, I usually go down other interest rabbit holes rather than home theater. But I did end up, not sure how, like, I discovered that, like, Ryan was doing the, podcast with AVS Forum, and they had launched another like, they had basically launched another show, and I was curious, "Oh, does he still, like, running his channel? Is he doing his podcast?" So, I caught up on a little bit of things that were happening and then realized, "Oh, yeah, there's an M-Wave plan, this year again." So, I wasn't able to make it to any of the prior events, either of the 2, I think it was, and then, of course, there was I think there was the year without one, so, um, it'd be fun. It'd be a fun one to go to. Julius, did you contact Anthem to figure out equalizing your living room subs? I did. I never got a reply, unfortunately. So I'm not sure if my email just got lost. I sent it to an individual, which who knows, maybe that person was not available or something has changed in their status or whatnot. I probably should resend it to just a general support line and see what kind of engagement, because I still do have the open questions about like what our Genesis was indicating about like roll off for the left and the right channel speakers when no subwoofer, like why would it be indicating a roll off when we wouldn't want to roll off? We want the whole full range signal being sent to these speakers. So I still need to figure that out. But I can't say like the audio upstairs doesn't feel like it's lacking compared to what its capabilities are. Like it feels like it's fully delivering on its capabilities. There is some rumble. I mean, it's not infrasonic and it doesn't hit like these SB17s hit. I didn't expect it to, but it has enough. It has some nice mid bass pop to it, and it's enough that I can still hear it hit my or rattle and rumble into the gutter outside, which is kind of my litmus test for if I'm getting a lot of like low frequency response in the living room. The gutters that run outside the roofing line will shake, and you can hear the aluminum. You can hear some of that aluminum rattle inside the room. I got a little bit more of it on the triads than I do currently, but it still happens. So yeah. Um, so yeah, so the Star Wars stuff. So that I mean that's been really fun. It's been really fun getting into it with my kid. I've always been a Star Wars fan. Um, since since I was a little kid. Obviously, being almost 50 now, I was there for definitely like Return of the Jedi and a little bit out of Empire, and then the hype that was still going on, and that kind of carried through forward from there into the expanded universe that kept it alive, and then into the prequels and the special editions rather. The reinvigoration of Star Wars toys and the toy releases and stuff that came out around that time. Power of the Force 2 figures the and all of that, and then onward, of course, onward into the prequels. So, I mean, Luke Skywalker is a hero of mine for a generation, and I've actually been thinking, I was kind of analyzing a little bit, rewatching some of this stuff, watching it with my son, and something that always kind of that I don't think I ever fully internalized, but struck home to me is like, Star Wars, the original trilogy, in particular, in like Luke and Vader's journey, being like kind of finding good in the father, and I realized that there's a couple actually themes. There's a couple of themes in Star Wars that I never psychoanalyzed. I think maybe why they appealed to me so much, but I discovered some I discovered some kind of new appeal to it. So, but we did finish the prequels. I really liked Revenge of the Sith. That's a movie that I haven't watched that much, um, but man, I think that was just there's so much going on in Revenge of the Sith. Um, and I really, really, really dug that on the rewatch. I was diving into some like more YouTube analysis as well, just like theses and takes on the different movies and uh, people talking about things they liked and things they didn't like and stuff like that. And the one thing that's a little weak in Revenge of the Sith is kind of that they needed to invest a little bit more into. And I agree with this. There's a lot of sentiment to do like an extended director's cut, essentially, or extended cut of Revenge of the Sith, and add another like 5 or 10 minutes to the movie and restore a variety of scenes that were actually filmed, deleted scenes and stuff that was cut, that rounds out a little bit more a kind of Anakin's turn, and it'll make it feel a little bit better. Um, there was one YouTube video that I watched that was talking about it, and there's a variety, actually, almost a handful of removed scenes that really leans into the idea of like Anakin building distrust and resentment, as if like Obi-Wan was kind of taking an interest, a personal interest in Padme. And so some of that stays in the movie, but it stays in there kind of weak, that you have to kind of look for it, and it doesn't really hit as strongly. But a couple of the scenes that they did leave in the movie would be so much better if they restored a couple of the other conversations and stuff between like Palpatine and Anakin, that really um, like Palpatine manipulating Anakin mentally, um, about about like kind of those certain aspects of building distrust and resentment towards Obi-Wan. But instead, I think they in the released movie, they chose to focus a little bit more on killing the younglings. I think that's a bit of a meme, right? The killing of the younglings and stuff, which is dark and sadistic in its own way. Like killing the kid Jedi, that definitely turns you to the dark side, and realizes the fact that you've become evil for sure. But I think they should have left some of the other stuff in. But man, that movie, start to finish, is so dense. It's so action packed. Obi-Wan Kenobi is like a really, really great Star Wars character. It reinvigorated my like for that character, like his capabilities, his resourcefulness, his attitude, his outlook on things and stuff. Um, and some of the other characters that were in there for the sake of cool toys and whatnot, still made for awesome impactfulness, General Grievous and whatnot. So I really dug Revenge of the Sith on this latest watching for some time. And then so into the sequel trilogy. I will say that, like, again, I've only watched the sequel trilogy, any of the Disney Star Wars era movies. I've only ever watched them once. I think every time was at the cinema, never watched them at home. So this is the first time watching all of those movies in my own room, in my own home, in this room as well. In the sequels, they definitely look good. Like, man, so much lost potential. Like, the special effects, the finishing, the presentation, especially some of the certain action sequences and stuff, the ship flying, ship battles, the space battles, and all that. It's like, gosh, there's so much to want to like about these movies. The battle on Crate with the salt planet turning everything red. Um, there's so much great visual imagery going on. Um, and the way that, especially the way like they're flying the ships, and they're kind of like, I don't know, drifting them around and stuff like that. Just real dynamic action scenes. It really kind of gets you excited and pulls you in. Lightsabers have never looked better. Lightsaber combat is like fast paced and kind of visceral. Never looked and sounded better. There's a lot of Atmos in those movies as well. And in fact, I noticed in these last two sequel movies, just there's so much more action overhead relative to a lot of other movies that we've watched lately. It almost um, I was really noticing it actually quite a bit more. And so that was kind of cool, really taking advantage of the surround system, the Atmos system, and all that. So pleased with that. And I know there's a lot of conjecture about how bad these movies are and why they're bad, and so on. But I'm a little more, I don't know if I'm a little Pollyanna about stuff, particularly when it comes to content. I'm not hypercritical. I can suspend my disbeliefs, and I can suspend some of my critical eye to kind of just go along for the ride as it was presented to me when it comes to at least certain kinds of content, maybe sometimes more than others. Maybe I'm just being, I wanted to enjoy them a little bit more, and I wanted to enjoy them with my family and my kids. So I'm maybe feeling a little more forgiving than I would like otherwise for what happened in these movies. They're definitely still elements of a travesty. They did Luke so dirty. They lost direction. These movies lacked a plan, a cohesive plan from 7 to 8 to 9. And 9, I know 9 is gonna be the worst of the bunch, and just the way that they, like, invalidated plot lines and dropped the ball on things and just rushed stuff and forced stuff and finished it. And Last Jedi, again, going back to the idea of, like, Luke being a hero of my generation, and Luke Skywalker was the man. And now as a near 50-year-old person watching, um, Luke, the last thing that, like, any of us that grew up on this stuff wanna see is, like, our heroes from the last generation being failures, right? And we don't wanna be failures. We wanna be successful middle-aged people, accomplished middle-aged people that have, like, done some cool stuff and blazed some cool trails and still have a lot to look forward to and whatnot. But when we look back, we feel good about the things that we've done. And, like, I mean, Luke was the hero of a generation. So to have him end up as kind of like such a failure. Granted, he redeems himself by the end of the movie and has arguably one of, like, kind of the, the coolest story beats when he does the force projection thing at the end. But man, just to have him run away and hermit himself away to the island, not want to get involved when his sister and his friends and his best friends and stuff need him the most, and just shutting everybody out, shutting himself off from the force. That's such a disappointing image. And then only to come back for one massive scene to basically die. And yeah, they did him dirty. And he never would have ignited that lightsaber. Come on. The guy, the hero of a generation that spent 3 movies, uh, you know, chasing, believing in a shred of goodness in his father, and ultimately to fight and choose not to fight, still being a very emotionally driven, and he failed along the way, whatnot. Of course, I do like the theme, right, of kind of the sequel trilogy a bit, that we have to learn from our failures, and as teachers also teach us by their failures. So there's some heavy stuff in there, and I think a lot of that stuff does still kind of compute, and it's not a terrible message or anything. But um, even if he saw Ben Solo turning, um, and Ben Solo's destiny or future leading to certain problems and challenges and stuff like that, he wasn't going to kill him in his sleep. Come on, that's that's ridiculous. So yeah, we had a lot of talking, so it's fun because we've been doing a lot of analyzing about these movies after we watch them the next day or whatnot. There was a lot of questions last night after we watched The Last Jedi. But anyway, some cool stuff, some cool takeaways, and some big questions as well. So we're coming up on the hour here. If anybody has any last comments, questions, items of discussion, and whatnot, just kind of a chill hangout here. Catch up next week. We'll kind of get a bit more into looking ahead into 2026, maybe reflecting on a little bit more about 2025, and then it's right into business, man. There are a lot of things happening. Want to really get to some cool announcements. There's so much more that I want to build out around this whole endeavor. And so, yeah, stay tuned. 2026 is going to be big. Srin, SVS is supposed to refresh the 3000 line at CES, supposedly what I read on ABS forum. Yeah, the current 3000s are marked down. I think they're normally like $1,200 and they're marked down to $1,000. And I do understand that is the case. Like, I think the current 3000s will be, they're limited to, like, stock inventory on hand, and when they're gone kind of thing. Um, so I'm actually specking a couple of these. I need to figure that out pretty quick because I'm specking a couple of these into a project potentially that I'm working on right now. Basement home theater, about a 15K budget or so, and multi-channel audio system, flat panel setup, and needed a couple subwoofers, and the 3000s look like they'll fit the bill for that system pretty nicely. There's been some really fun, been having some really fun, just general kind of business activity working with a variety of folks. So I have this basement home theater going right now. I was contacted, and we had a conversation just before the weekend, or it might have been actually on Saturday. Um, Another actually pretty good sized theater needing essentially a whole stack of gear. So given a basically, it's kind of thing like given a budget, what would I do? What would I buy? Speakers, audio gear, projector, like how do you balance the budget, manage the spending between the different categories of things that need to be bought? I do have a couple of I do have a couple cameras going wild again. I do have a couple of purchase orders in for another great customer, a channel regular. He's not with us here, I think, today, but doing like changing a theater setup over to like an acoustically transparent screen, putting a center channel speaker behind it. So that'll be pretty cool. It's like basically that'll be the first project kicking off in into 2026, and then yeah, a few other irons in the fire as well. So definitely starting off 2026 with a bang in some really cool projects. Is the bond set on sale on Kaleidoscape the lowest I've ever seen it? I believe so. I do believe so. If you're going to Gab, let me try if I get to this really quick here. Where is my that was in the This Week in Kaleidoscape from last week. The fact that the bond was on sale. Here we go. Let me get to content sets. Sort by prices. Get down to the bottom here. Yeah, 144. Yeah, I wouldn't expect it to get any lower than that. 25 movies for 145 bucks, down from 265. And I think if you click on stuff in the store, it does tell you, yeah, limited time special pricing expires January 8th. I need to mention that actually in the next This Week in Kaleidoscape, that if you want to find out when a sale is ending, they do actually do a good job of telling you that. So prices often change. Excuse me, new things come on sale. Oftentimes like on Tuesday, but not everything is always on sale for just a week. A lot of times some of the sale pricings and stuff go for extended periods. So like Star Trek, for example, the 10 film set pricing $30 for the 10 films that expires January 3rd. Bond goes a little bit longer. Some of these, the Christmas sale, I think, actually like a lot of the Christmas movies and stuff, looks like those expires on December 31st. So that'll be Wednesday. So a lot of the current sales may actually carry through. Mission Impossible, January 3rd. So what is January 3rd? That's Saturday. Interesting. So anyway, January 6th for The Matrix, that's the following Tuesday. So I think probably once we get to January, by the time we get to January 6th, a lot of the stuff that has been up on sale will probably fall off. The end of year, the carry through, will probably end up falling off. And then we'll kind of get into a period of like more calmer, calmer price changes. Harry Potter expires January 6th. There's quite a lot that expires January 6th. So I think the end of year, the New Year's sale going on, a lot of this stuff will fall off. Certainly by the 6th, some of it on the 31st, and some of it on the 3rd. Sren saying, another thing to see in 2026 if cable add international movies. I asked them last year, and they told me I was not the first one to ask. Yeah, I mean, I think they're always working to expand the store for sure. So definitely would look for this. You know, there's still a good selection of content that folks want, that what folks would want in the K store that's not there. So there's always more and more stuff to go after for sure. And I really want to see like the Criterion stuff, the Godzillas, which at least Criterion did the collection for Godzilla a while ago. I don't know if Sony owns a lot of the rights to those or if it's a Toho thing or whoever it might be, but there's definitely always room to continue to grow the footprint of the store. And as we go forward into more and more like expanded and esoteric stuff, I'd love to see more anime show up, more TV series, episodic content, all that. So Steven say, yeah, next episode could be CES preview show. We've already had CES news starting to drop. Yep, I'll definitely be paying attention. I haven't really seen anything come through from like a dealer perspective. Again, I can access TCL, LG, Samsung, and Sony. So if there are any interesting communications, hopefully I'll get them. But a lot of times they're busy. There's not going to probably be a lot of dealer communication coming up. It'll all be just general press, and because of the event. So I'll kind of be reading for the most part, I think in real time, as a lot of folks are. But I'm really really curious to see what comes out of the new models, the sizes, and features and capabilities and all that stuff. And so, oh, cool. So this is an interesting comment. I hadn't seen this happen live on stream before, but KM Toner, welcome, my friend. That's a new name I don't recognize. Offhand became a YouTube member. Very much appreciated. So, yeah, I definitely have tried to do more with the memberships. Is if we can get the memberships up to like a decent amount, I definitely would be happy to do like a private hangout, get everybody on camera. And a lot of channels do that. I think that would be pretty cool to try to get that started or do that in the new year. Not just me talking kind of at people in comments, um, but be able to just dialogue and have like private conversations and whatnot. Do that whether that's a monthly basis or every other month, something like that. I would definitely look to add that to the member perks as it is. At a minimum, you get some cool bling on the channel, and I do try to put out whenever I get stuff done, I get videos done and queued up and whatnot. I do try to put them out for the members um, right away prior to whatever general like YouTube publishing schedule that I was intending to do or intending to follow. So thank you very much, KM Toner, and the other members on the channel. Julius is a member as well, Lawless. So a few of the folks are here. Oh, there are leaks already. Leaks of what the LG C6B6, etc. Will be. Yeah, I'm definitely really interested in what the G6 may entail. I don't want to dig too much into this right now, especially if they're leaks and they're not actual press releases yet. I probably wouldn't dig into this too much. Key marketing material for the official reveal, but yeah, display technology, processors, gaming focus, which is one of the things I really appreciate with LG. Yeah, I'll be thinking about this for sure, whether in fact, if certain things go in certain ways, it makes sense to try to just go back to a 97-inch, or not back to a G series OLED, but this time with the 97-inch G6. So it'll be exciting CES for sure, and an exciting spring if in fact these things worked out. And I already had some initial contact uh, back a couple months ago now with some folks at LG, talking with them about options and stuff as I was working on the living room project, getting all of that set up. So, all right, we're at the hour. I think I'm going to call it here. Go get engaged with the family. We got some slopes to hit. Drop on my vibration plate my vibration plate for a few minutes here. Loosen up the legs and get ready to hit the slopes here over these next couple days. I hope everybody has a super happy new year, safe new year. Some crazy stuff always going on out there, and it pains me to see how like certain things are being canceled in certain places and stuff like that. Anyway, hopefully we have a more positive 2026 in terms of like worldview and tolerance and lots of other things like that ahead. But no matter what, we'll still be talking about some escapism and some fun stuff and all of that here. So coming back definitely next week, we'll be looking at the year ahead, be thinking about my plans. What are the goals, objectives, intentions, and stuff like that for the new year. Hope you're working on yours, and yeah, we'll talk again very soon. Have a great week. We'll see everybody. See everybody in a few. Coming back for more home theater discussion and fun. And again, even though I'll be on the ski slope, if anybody out there is planning your 2026 upgrades and you want to get started, players, kaleidoscopes, screens, projectors, speakers, processors, amps, any of the classes of stuff, whatever you're looking for. If you like the content, you like the channel, it inspires you, it educates you, it informs you, and we have some fun here enjoying this hobby together, please consider giving me a chance to play a part in your 2026 plans. Reach out through techthusiasm.com or email me, jeremy@techthusiasm.net. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Grab your popcorn, settle in. Movie magic's about to be